to share the link with you all. So thank you everyone who has subscribed to my channel. Really appreciate that. I want to show you at the bottom here, there is a 5-part series that I conducted last year. And this was on writing systematic literature review articles. So if you are in the start of your PhD, I think you should all definitely check out these 5 sessions. They are quite long sessions because each session I cover one section of your paper, of your review paper. So section 1 is introduction, then maybe the research question and the methodology, and so on and so forth. So the entire paper, if you follow these 5 videos, you can write your systematic literature review paper easily. Okay, so when we talk about PhD activities, broadly, there are a number of things that you can do from after completing your coursework. So from year 1 after your coursework till year 3, year 4, there are a lot of things that you have to do. And if you know what the things are and in what order you should do them, then I think it will be the best way to progress through your PhD, because you know what needs to be done next. Yeah. So this slide shows you some of the things that you would do during your entire PhD journey. Okay. So we'll start off with the research proposal and the research question. So I guess there is a similar activity that happens at LPU as well, where you have to propose the research topic, what you're going to do, the research questions that you're going to answer to a panel, to a committee, who will give you a feedback, some form of feedback on the scope of your research. While you're doing that, you're also doing your literature review, because research questions are informed by the literature and the work that has been done. Once you have done the literature review, your research question, data collection, you build a theory or build a framework, a model, a solution, algorithm, protocol, whatever your core development, core contribution of your research is. Then you gather results, come up with some findings, interesting findings, you discuss those findings, and finally you write your thesis and submit it for examination. In India, I think there's also the concept of viva or defense, which you do. I don't know whether it is before the submission or after the submission, but in Australia so far we do not use the defense here. So we directly go with submission of the thesis. During the PhD, you can also work on some publications and attend conferences and publish conference as well as journal publications, and the list goes on and on. So there are so many things that you can do during your PhD that if you know how to do it and what to do it and when to do it, I think your PhD journey will be stress-free and it will be seamless. So this is this video, sorry, this lecture and the videos that I have done on this topic are kind of a guide that every PhD student can follow. And the intention behind doing this was, I always see students, PhD students, always kind of stressed or tensed about their PhD. But PhD doesn't have to be like that. It can be an enjoyable process, enjoyable exercise if you know what to do. So I just want to give you an analogy here of how you can think of these activities. Imagine you are standing on the ground floor, and then there is a stairs that takes you to the second level of the building or your house. You can see the different steps. Maybe there are 10 stairs or 15 stairs, or 15 steps or 20 steps. You know that once you do these 15, 20 steps, you will reach the top, and that is your destination. Similarly, a PhD is also a series of steps. But if you know these steps and the order in which these steps you have to take, you will reach your destination and you will reach there stress-free. So this series that I have done on planning your PhD is like that staircase. I'm telling you what the different steps are and in what order you need to take those steps. So if you're in year 1, what should you do? So I suggest you plan or target 2 or 3, keep 2 or 3 targets for the first 6 months of your PhD, and 2 or 3 targets for the next 6 months of your PhD. Okay, in year one. So have at least 4 to 6 deliverables that you think you want to achieve. Then the question now would be, what should be these things? What is it that I could deliver in this time frame? So to answer that, it will depend on you and your supervisory team, your university or college recommendations or guidelines or regulations. So there may be some predefined deliverables that you have to do, and that's easy. And then that's important because you know that this is what you have to do, and then you will do it. But I don't know whether there'll be 4 or 6 such deliverables. There'll be 1 or 2 maybe. Then you have to think and you have to plan these other deliverables yourself, give those targets to yourselves, and take steps to achieve those targets. Break it down into several milestones. So if there are, say, 2 targets in the first 6 months or 3 targets in the first 6 months, break it down into different smaller milestones. And it could be a weekly milestone, it could be a monthly milestone, or it could even be a daily milestone. Imagine you have a piece of paper on which you have written task 1 or target 1, target 2, and target 3. Yeah, and you put the first date, and that start date and the end date whenever you have to deliver on that particular target. So from the end date to where you are, make a list of steps, make a list of activities, or break it down into smaller pieces so that you know that when you finish all these sub activities for that target, you will have your deliverable. So when I ran this this kind of sessions before, I asked students to do an activity, that is, go to this link and fill up this Google form. So here, this form is a list of, I think, 12. I've given 12 questions. So think about 12 activities that you want to do during your PhD. Write them down and record it in this Google Doc. You can do it later. We do not have enough time to go through that. But that is one activity I would want you all to finish after the session. I'll give you the links to all these later. And second activity is list some goals and activities for your year one plan. Yeah, and share it on this Google Sheet. Another link that's here. You can check it out. Okay, so the reason why I want you to do these 2 activities is to get whatever you have in your mind on a piece of paper or in a digital format. And once you have that, you can work backwards from there. And not only that, maybe once all of you have done this activity, I can collect these results and send you a report of what all you all thought or what activities you all think you would do. And that would kind of become one of the most thorough PhD activity plan. So like I see there are around 100 people of you, 100 research scholars attending this session now. 100 times 12 activities, that's already 1,200 activities, a list that we could come up with. Okay. Another thing that you can do during your PhD is join my website. This is the research community that I have developed on my website, vidypotdar.com. And we have over 1,000 current students who are doing PhD from all around the world. And there are different groups in that focused on different areas. And you can find very interesting connections, new research contacts or collaborators during your PhD program. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk now is more about what kind of software you can use that will help you during your PhD program. Okay. So there may be some software applications that you already use, but others, that there are a lot many softwares, apps, extensions, browser extensions that you can use that will make your research journey very smooth and very interesting. So I'll go through some of them. The others you can check on my website later on. So for writing, if you are using Word, that's fine. But there are many other tools as well or softwares as well for writing. This could be writing your research paper, could be a proposal, could be a thesis. Any kind of writing activity that you do during your PhD, you can use these softwares. For referencing, personally prefer using Zotero. I've been using it since my PhD time. Very nice software, easy to search papers and add it to your library. But there are many others, including JabRef, EndNote, Mendeley, and so on. Scheduling is very important during your PhD, and I recommend you choose any of the scheduling software or time management software that you like, and stick to it. Put whatever activities that you want to do into that calendar, so that every day when you come to work or come for your PhD, you know what you have planned for this week. And if you have 2-week plan in advance, I think that is the best way to manage. At the end of the session today, create a plan for 2 weeks. Every day, what are you going to do every day, and put that in your Google Calendar or to-do list or any other software that you are using. And you will see that once you have that list, you know that you don't have to think what is it that you need to do, because it is there in your calendar, and you just have to do it and make sure that you finish it in the time that you have allocated yourself. There are many other softwares. For example, Google, if you're writing in just non-academic writing, Google Docs is a good option. Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I work with all my PhD students using Google Docs. And the way we work on Google, the reason why I work with them on Google Docs is only one place where we are working. So if we are writing a paper together, all the content is there in one Google Doc. I can see, they can see, they can edit, I can edit, and we just work on one piece of document. Yeah, it's not emailing different versions of the paper. And another benefit is that it is automatically backed up. Your local Word file may get corrupt, or for some reason may not open, and all your work could get lost. So having this online using Google Docs, I think I personally prefer that, and I would recommend that. If you're storing some files, storing your writing, storing your results, do store it on a network drive, because it is backed up. Yeah, so either Google Drive, Dropbox, iCloud, whatever your preference, use that, because that will be very, very useful. Because I have seen students who have lost their work just because they stored it on a USB thumb drive or on an external hard drive. Never use such thing as your permanent storage. Permanent storage has to be on a cloud solution. Okay, image editing. If you have to draw some figures, diagrams for your papers, do use some editors online like that I've shown here. Data analysis could be R, Python, MATLAB, and stuff. There are many other extensions, browser extensions that you can use. So I've shown some here, but do check out a complete list on my website as well. There's a lot of things to do. And if you incorporate, maybe just one thing that you can do over the rest of the week is go and download all these softwares and keep yourself ready, get yourself familiar. And there are many more apps that other than this that I recommend. So do check them out. I also run a Telegram group for research. So if you are interested in joining my research group on Telegram, do join this. There's a link here, and I'll also put it in the chat window. As a PhD student, or what I tell my PhD students is to start a routine during their PhD. So if you have a routine, you know that this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. And every day you have a same process. So it becomes like a habit. If you don't do a part of your routine, you will feel uncomfortable. So that is when you have the routine has become a habit. I have done a video where I talk about how to plan a day. How to plan a PhD day. So here I'm talking about the plan for your PhD, but I've also done a video on how to plan a day in the life of a PhD student. Do check that out, because I have given some ideas or some ideas on how you can plan your PhD, plan your day. So it could be reading in the morning, writing, taking a break, doing some networking, and preparing for what you want to do next week or tomorrow or next day. So do that. Do check that out. That will be very helpful too. Socialize, make new friends. One thing that I find is PhD students kind of always are stuck in their lab, and so the only thing that I see is they're either in the lab or at home. You have to do have some social life, make some new friends, especially if you are starting your PhD in a new city or a new town where you have not lived and where you do not have friends. So you need time to kind of socialize as well. Another thing that I want to strongly recommend all of you is to start writing from day one, whatever it may be. Scribble it on a piece of paper, have a small notebook, write down there, or use any of the notes with you. Yeah, so what I would suggest is start writing from day one. Whatever ideas you get, keep a note of that, record them either in a small diary or in any note-taking app, because some ideas that you get when your mind is free are the best ideas that you ever get. I have seen that, others have seen that. So do keep that habit, or start that habit. Another thing that you can start is do your literature review, and regularly keep an eye on any new literature that is coming up. And for that, you can use Google Scholar alerts. So do check out how you can set up Google Scholar alerts for getting notified when any new paper is published that is related to your research. For literature review, like I said already, that I have done a very thorough webinar series on writing systematic literature review for high impact journal factor journals. So do check that out. 1 to 5. These 5 videos will be very helpful for you. Other than your core research, I would also suggest you select 3 or 5 books to read in year 1. And the reason why I say that is you can learn a lot from others' experiences. Okay, so if there is a book that could be a life experience of some person, so you can get that entire life experience by reading one book, and you'll be probably leapfrog your progress, your achievements by learning from what others have to say or others have said. So do select a few books and for year 1 and even for year 2 and year 3 as well. Stay organized. Plan activities, plan your time, and plan your goals. Because if you know what your goal is, you can assign the right amount of time to do that, and you can plan the activities that you need to do to achieve your goal. So staying organized during your PhD is probably the most important skill that you should have, or that you would have, if you can do that, if you can achieve that. I've done very numerous other videos as well on various aspects of your PhD, like how to manage stress, how to avoid plagiarism, how to plan your PhD day, how to enjoy your PhD, and so on and so forth. So do check those videos out. It will be very helpful for you during your PhD journey. Supervision. This is a very important topic of your, important aspect of during your PhD, and that is your relationship with your supervisor. How you're going to communicate with your supervisor, how you're going to keep them informed of your progress with your PhD, how you're going to schedule the meetings, how you're going to keep a record of the meetings, and so on and so forth. So have a strategy and work with your supervisor to come up with that strategy. You need to decide, are you going to meet your supervisor once a week, once a fortnight, once a month? How are the meetings going to be scheduled? What is going to be the agenda for the PhD, for the research meetings? Are you going to take notes? How are you going to record these different notes? Because what may happen is you may finish your meeting and you may remember something that happened during the meeting, but others you may forget. So find out a template that you can use, a meeting template, where you can record all this information during that you do in the meeting time. Yeah, so this is very important, not only to keep a good record of all the conversations you had with your supervisor, but also ensuring that the information that that your supervisor shares with you, you have recorded it, and you can apply that during the in between the next meeting and the current meeting. You may also need to learn new things. Yeah, so take some online courses if you want. If you are in the technical, if your background is technical background, then you may need to learn some management related courses. If you are from the management or business background, you may need to take on some technical courses. And as a PhD student, having the technical grasp is going to make a big difference. Yeah, especially if you're not from a non-technical discipline. So if you can get a basic understanding of programming languages, it will be very helpful to come up with some creative outputs in your discipline, which others may not be able to do because they just don't have that skill. So learn some new skills that will make you a differentiator in your discipline, and this will be helpful not only for your PhD but also when you're publishing any research paper during your PhD. That will be equally helpful. Attend events, workshops, summer schools, conferences, networking events. Try to spend some time during your every year of your PhD to network. Yeah, and networking is very important for many reasons. For example, if you are attending a conference. So attending a conference, the core purpose is not to present your paper. Yeah, you can present your paper or publish your paper in a journal without attending a conference, right? The reason why you go to a conference is to network with other researchers in your area, in your discipline. And that is the main benefit, main objective for attending a conference is networking. And the networking can help in many ways. For example, if you write a paper and you submit it for a review, and if you have met the editor of that journal, or somebody happens to review your paper and they have met you at a conference, they already have a soft corner for you because they know your work, they have met you in person, they may have even attended your presentation at the conference. So these are all very important activities on the side that you have to do that would help you during your PhD or even after your PhD. So imagine you're applying for a academic position after you graduate. Maybe some person who is there on the selection panel, maybe you have met them at a conference. So that kind of connections do help a lot. Another thing you should start from year one is personal branding. Yeah, you have to think of yourself as a brand and take active initiatives to kind of promote yourself in your area, in your research space. What could you do? You could start a LinkedIn profile, set up your LinkedIn profile. I don't know how many of you have a LinkedIn account. If not, I think one thing you should do at least today after the session is create a LinkedIn profile and add me to your network. And you can then check out all my connections and connect with them as well. You could start a blog. You could start a YouTube channel about your research, and also create a Google Scholar profile. So I think Google Scholar profile is very important because whenever somebody submits a paper, a reviewer is starting to review the paper, the first thing that they would check is the Google Scholar profile of the author. And if you do not have one, I think that is one indicator that goes against you in this publications process. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Please add me join my LinkedIn network. This is my Google Scholar profile. Do check that out later. One more thing that I want to talk to you all about is think about your PhD. 3 years of your PhD, not as just doing your PhD, but also planning your career. What is it that you're going to do over the once you finish your PhD? Many times I see students, they've completed their PhD and they haven't given a thought about their career plan. But what you should ideally be doing is from year one, you have to think about what all things you need to do to get an academic position. If you're planning to be in academia, get an academic position at the end of the your PhD, or if you're planning to go into industry, what things you should do that would make your CV appealing to the industry. So think about that, start thinking about it now, and make a plan for at least for 3 years, so you can achieve what you need to achieve to get those targets. And in the one of my videos, I talk about what you should look for, and what I suggest there is take a look for a job advertisement that is advertised now, and look at what are their selection criteria. What do they want in a fresh PhD graduate if they are looking to hire? And those are the activities, those are the list of things that you should work towards in these 3 years. So do check that out video. I think I've spoken about that in how to plan your PhD in year 2. I think that is where it is. You also have to show confidence and be confident in your work. So no matter either whether you are presenting at a conference or whether you are writing a journal article, the confidence should be evident from how you write or how you deliver or present yourself. I'm cautious of time because I have another lecture after this. So I'll try to speed up a little bit. One thing that you can also ask is ask for help. So if you are in first year, do go and talk to your seniors in your department who are in the year 2 of your PhD, of their PhD, or year 3 of their PhD. Or also find what I call as a research buddy. And this could be somebody who is either at the same level as you, they are in year 1 or year 2, or they are somewhat senior. And working with them or getting them on board your research or getting their feedback, insights, or their just in general help, will be very useful for your PhD. So don't be afraid or don't be shy to ask for help. Remember that time flies. First couple of months of your PhD may disappear easily, even without you noticing it. So that's why planning is very important. Okay, so I'm coming towards the end of this sessions. What I have got is some activities that you can do in year 1, and there are many activities that you can do. You can check out my website later on for the complete list. But one thing I would say is join some online research groups. Join online communities where other researchers come, and you can get a lot of information from there. I personally see there are a lot of students on Facebook groups that are related to PhD and so on. You could meet and greet people in your department, get to know them. If you are new to the university, take an active step or initiative to just go say hello to everyone. Visit the library and get any access cards that you may need to start accessing the services. During the initial phases of your PhD, I think librarians are very important, and I'm not sure if there are workshops that are run by the library in LPU that are helpful for PhD students. Do attend those because I know in Curtin we do have a series of such workshops for PhD students where they can learn a lot about like how to do literature review, how should they search for papers, and so on and so forth. So that is a very important activity in year 1. Install necessary software. I already gave you a list of softwares that you should try out. Start a routine. Make a plan of activities for year 1. What all things you want to achieve. Remember the 4 to 6 targets that I suggested in year 1. Start an experiment log or a diary. Create a data storage and a backup plan. Remember, always store your data on a network drive because it is backed up. Never store anything on a thumb drive or an external hard drive. Start your literature review Start your literature review. And I suggest my PhD students to at least aim for 1 publication in year 1, and that publication could be a thorough systematic literature review. And that is it is a time-consuming activity, but I think you should focus on that, and you should also come up with a publication strategy. And what I mean by that is how many research papers are you going to publish during your PhD? And yes, you can publish papers during your PhD. What these papers would be. So one paper definitely should be a systematic literature review. Another could be your proposed conceptual framework that you can present. Another could be validated validated framework with results and discussion, and so on. So there are many things that you can publish during the course of your PhD. Okay, so there are a lot more activities that you can do to plan your PhD effectively. So do check out my website for a complete list of such activities, and do follow them step by step. Another thing what you can also do is come up with a work plan, something like this, a Gantt chart. And you can see here that how they have broken down different activities over different years. And you can even go further depth in a little bit more depth of getting to the stage of monthly breakdowns. Here it is quarterly, or there's roughly around bi-monthly, sorry, bi-yearly. Okay, so as we conclude, I would like you to prepare a year one plan for your PhD, what you want to achieve. But before that, do check out my videos and learn from them first, and then apply what I have covered in those videos. Okay, so on that note, I will say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on this very important topic of planning a PhD. Unfortunately, the time is just not enough to go into this in a very great amount of detail. But having said that, I do have recorded videos on this topic, so do check that out. And I would also appreciate if you learned something from today's video, please leave a feedback or a review for me on this website, Trustpilot. I will really appreciate that. So I'll open up for a few questions now. Yeah, look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, this is Supervised. Yeah. Thank you, sir, for this such an informative session. Just wanted to know that for literature review, we are getting an oceans of information. How do we plan and take it forward for the PhD program and the papers?
Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the easiest or the most structured way to handle that is to do a systematic literature review. And if you follow, I'm not sure whether you have done a systematic literature review or not before, but a systematic literature review, or a SLR, gives you a step-by-step guide on how to select the literature, how to screen the literature, which papers you should select, which paper you should exclude, and why, what should be your inclusion criteria for selecting papers, what should be your exclusion criteria for excluding the papers, what quality criteria you should use to select the papers. So basically, you can imagine like a funnel. You start here, there is a lot of information, and you have to narrow it down. So anything that can go through this funnel and comes out at the other end is the paper that you should select. So on many occasions, a proper and a thorough search strategy is required, coupled with the inclusion-exclusion criteria for selecting papers, and then applying quality criteria to even further refine your selection. So I would suggest that as a way to go with your literature review. Durba, your question is, can you give any feedback for working professionals? So I think the problem, the solution probably is the same. It would be more about planning your PhD, depending upon how much of a time you have. So if you can allocate, say, one day on the weekend and a couple of days in the morning, maybe before your work. So I'll tell you, like, I'm currently running a course on doing systematic literature reviews. It's a 10-week course, and I have assistant professors who are currently doing their PhD, and they are probably in a similar situation like you. So they have to go to work, probably start at 9. So the course that I run is from 7 o'clock. So 7 to 8:30 they attend, and 8:30 they leave. So that is a way that they are managing their time. So you can spend a couple of hours in the morning and one day on the weekend, and that's how you could probably take your time to complete a PhD.
Vidy sir, may I ask a question?
Yes, yeah, Naveen.
Sir, suppose any scholar is planning for a postdoc, maybe after finishing the PhD.
Huh.
So they have, means the scholar have to write a research proposal. I think many universities or the institute, they require this research proposal. What
Yeah.
will do in postdoc research. So my question is whether the number of publication is really matters or the quality publication, just to get the point.
I would say quality publications matter
Mhm.
more so. And another thing would be depending upon the competition, who else is there in the group who is applying for that position. So quality always beats quantity. And having said that, there I have seen people who have managed quantity with quality. So they have really good publications, all in top journals, and they have a lot of those publications as well. So quantity does not always mean poor quality as well. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Deepshika, can you please repeat how we make a plan to publish a paper? Okay, Deepshika, I think what I suggest is you do check out my other video on how to plan your PhD. I think I'd speak about that at length in year 2 video. But basically, you can at least aim to publish 3 or 4 papers during your PhD. Pooja, your question on somebody posting your work on ResearchGate without informing or without including. I think it is, yeah, what you're saying is unacceptable practice. So I think you should approach ResearchGate if they have a mechanism to report such a activity. And I think you should either, if the paper belongs to you, you should be the rightful author on that. And if not, then you should ask them to report.
Sir, hello.
Yes,
Yes, sir. I'm Pooja. Yes, sir. I'm Pooja here. The same question I want to ask once again.
yeah.
The person has just uploaded the conference with other authors, and he has not included my name in that. Okay. But he has not also informed to me, and it was just like on honorary basis. His name was put in the conference that project work. So,
Huh.
yeah, yeah. But with the others, my name also should have been included. So the same thing I can do, the same the conference work I can upload on my research data profile, sir.
Yeah, so if it is your paper, you can upload it on ResearchGate. But however, keep in mind that the paper, if it is copyright, if the copyright of the paper is owned by a publisher, then you should actually not upload it to ResearchGate. So I know ResearchGate is now actively
So, but
looking for authors who are violating their copyrights.
okay, okay. So what I heard that it is just like a LinkedIn or Facebook profile, and it is
Huh.
not that important. Yeah, means anybody can put anybody's work like that only, and just means to increase your fame. It is like that. Is it so, sir, or what is the what
Yeah, so I think you have to
is that?
check their conditions. I think
There are some journals which are asking for a video script, but
video
they're not
script.
very clear whether the videos exactly. So can you
Okay.
guide us on the video script? What can be created?
So basically, a video script is something that is just started recently, and the idea behind that is to communicate your research in a more user-friendly way, rather than people reading your whole paper. You can do like a explain your research in a video and give a better insight into the in your
Thank
research.
you. Got it.
Yeah.
And if there are multiple number of authors, like I have my colleagues who are here who has joined me to write the paper with me, the video
Huh.
script should be for all the four or all the three, or it's just to be one single
need to decide. Actually, I'm currently working on one. I just had a paper published in Psychology and Marketing journal. So we are working on a video script. So once that is done, I can share it with you all. We can check it out on my channel.
Oh, thank you.
Naveen, I think
Hello,
I need
sir.
to take a leave because I have another session starting in 5 minutes.
Okay. Fine, sir.
But
Fine.
to everyone, if you have any further questions, please either email me. I will type my email address here.
Yeah, we will share your email ID, sir, to all of our scholar and your YouTube channel also. They can subscribe your channel. So finally,
I showed in the presentation. I have copied them in the chat window. All right, I'm really sorry. I need to rush out because there was actually a clash with other presentations. So I have taken some time to do this, and then I have to jump into that next presentation.
I understand, sir. So we appreciate you making time in your busy schedule to speak to our scholar. So thank you, Dr. Vidy, for such a wonderful session and speaking to our PhD scholars about the topic on planning of PhD. And I'm sure that all of us really enjoyed your lecture. So it was extremely informative, meaningful, and motivating for all of us. So I'm sure that we will connect you again just to guide our scholars. So finally, thank you to all of you. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye, sir. Bye. Thank you, students. Just
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a nice
so much,
day.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you all.